Hey, everybody. Let's see here. All right, guys, I'm going to give everyone a minute or two to kind of get going. I've got some interesting material for you guys this month. My marketing team and I were in Fort Lauderdale a couple weeks ago at the Coastal Connect event, and we hosted a presentation called the Tech Enabled LO, and it actually was a super hit. And so when I have guests that are on this particular webinar with me every month, but this time you guys have just me, and it's because I really wanted to kind of show you guys what we showed to these other loan officers out there. It really resonated because the whole idea behind what the tech enabled LO is doing is really to create a lot of efficiency over the last several months, you guys have heard me talk about just scale in general. And as interest rates come down, now again, we don't know when that's going to happen, right? But as the interest rates come back down again, one thing is for sure is that we're going to have more capacity and we're going to have more scale. And those loan officers that are going to use technology as the way to create more efficiency are going to do much better than the alternative. And so today, I'm going to jump into this right now and kind of show you guys my presentation in terms of what we're doing at First Option to create that scale for you. Now, I do want to preface, I didn't create any of this technology. It was a compilation of the last couple years of finding the tools that are out there, figuring out what's working, figuring out what can integrate with who, and creating proper API feeds, and really just getting everybody to properly work together. And so as I go through it, I'll kind of give you guys some of the names of these tools or third-party tools that we're subscribing to. But I think the secret sauce is really in the fact that we're able to have all of it work together and make it work for you guys. All right, give me 1 second. Let me share my screen here and we'll get started. Alex, it's showing me that host disabled participant screen sharing.
Let me give you access. Yes. Sorry, one moment. Never had this issue before. Okay, I'm gonna make you the host,
All
and now
right.
you should hopefully have access.
Okay. Yeah, it looks good now.
Perfect.
All right. Do you see my screen there, Alex?
Sorry,
Oops.
it won't let me unmute myself while you're the host, but yes,
Okay, got
once
it.
you do that, I'm gonna make you the host again, and then you can share your screen, and it is working.
Okay, perfect. Sounds good. All right, guys, just one more minute. We'll get going. All right, perfect. Oops. All right, here we go. All right, guys, I'm gonna get going. Again, the presentation itself is called a tech-enabled loan officer winning in the new era of mortgage, and just a lot of focus on what tomorrow brings and what we're doing today to make sure that we're properly set up for tomorrow as in like when rates come back down and really make the most of the technology that we've got. All right. I believe most of you guys know me. Alvin Shah, First Option Mortgage. Been in the mortgage industry for 20 some years. Serve on a bunch of boards, managing partner here at First Option Mortgage, and really enjoy giving back to our community. This industry has done a ton for me, and I just feel like if I can take some of this knowledge that I've gained over the years and help other people grow in their businesses, that's just one of the things that's really important for me in my own personal career to be able to give back. All right, guys. So what I'm going to do today is I'm going to talk about AI, and a lot of this is going to be AI and technology. What we've done now is we've broken the whole mortgage process up, and we've infused AI into different parts of the mortgage process. So to begin with, we're going to go through these four processes. The first one being attract and capture. What that's going to be is, where does that consumer come into play? Lead capture, digital advertising, just using data to really be able to drive new customers in, and then a fast and smooth application process for those consumers, and that keeps you extremely mobile and flexible to work off of your phone. And then we'll go through each one of these four different phases with engaging, converting that customer, our mortgage process, and taking the deal to closing. And then even after the fact, when we're trying to retain and refinance those customers, the statistically we don't do a great job of retention, and it's not necessarily it's our fault. It's just that when a loan is closed, we're naturally on to the next one, but our servicers are really on top of our prospects, our closed loans, and that's why it is a fight to get back to that customer. And so we're going to talk about how we can use AI to get to that consumer as well. All right, guys. So first and foremost, the one thing that I really, really push for is some form of marketing and lead generation. I love having realtor referrals, and those partnerships are great. And when when things are good, they're good. But when interest rates go up and even our realtors slow down, we realize quickly that, man, I wish there was something I had done to actually cultivate and nurture more consumers at the top of the sales funnel, so that I never slow down at any given point. We've always got some form of lead gen activity going and consumers that are slowly being nurtured. So one of the things that I want to introduce today, as first option, what we do is we use a consulting company. We do advertising in multiple different days. We'll do Zillow lead shares with our realtor partners. We'll do Google AdWords. We'll do social media marketing, meta marketing. Now, every single one of these that I mentioned has a different ROI, right? And so that's why it's important to really understand the conversion on these lead gen sources and really have the right tech behind it to give you the best ROI and the highest conversion. This is just one example of what we're doing here with Google AdWords. Okay. All right, guys. Now, once an application is, or once a consumer does actually come through the door and they see one of your ads, and at that point they see that, okay, there's an interest over there, we want to make sure that the process of getting that consumer into your hands is fast and it's smooth. And so each one of our ads typically has some form of a application. Now, this is really customizable on what you want. Some of my LOs will want to do a short form app where they're just getting enough information to where to be able to engage the borrower, and some of my loan officers would prefer that a full application is there so that they're capturing as much data upfront as possible, including certain documentation. For the sake of this conversation, I'm going to stick with a short app, and when I say app, it literally is an application where it's on your cell phone. When a borrower sees an ad that you're running and they want some information, they fill out a little bit of application or their information on that job form, and I guess a notification pops up on your point of sale system on your cell phone, and at that point you're quickly able to take a look at the information that they've plugged in, quickly able to pull credit, run AUS, and even send out a pre-qual letter if you're comfortable enough knowing that you've got enough information to send that. And the best part about having a mobile app like this that's at your fingertips is the fact that you can go in there on the weekend and you can literally change your pre-qual amount and send it back to your realtor, and that keeps you moving fast and moving quickly through the weekend instead of having to jump onto your laptop or your iPad and trying to get into Encompass. So that's some cool stuff at your fingertips. Okay. All right. Next, what I've got is the actual application itself that the borrower's taking. Now, if you can see, that's actually happening on the right side of the screen. That's a real borrower taking an application. It's literally that smooth where they just literally go through each section of it, and it's almost a 1003, but without having to do a lot of data input, because a lot of the data that's being input is being pulled in through USPS and things of that nature. Now, a full application will actually go through everything and give the borrower the ability to upload documents even after the fact. If once they're done with the application, it's going to send task reminders saying, hey, don't forget, I still need your driver's license, or I still need certain documentation. It'll give them the ability to go in there and run mobile service orders so that they can get an Argyle report going and start pulling their income documentation in, or start pulling their data from the IRS or bank statement data from Wells Fargo and start pulling all this information in. All right. So I started off originally talking about just lead generation. And again, different conversions, right? When you get a realtor referral, you get a much higher conversion ratio than you do with just when you're doing, let's say, social media advertising or like Facebook advertising. And the reality of it is that they're two very different beasts, but we want to try to make the most of each one of them. So what we've done now is that, let's just say whatever your conversion is on your advertising, and you convert, say, 2%, 5%, but the other 95, 98% of the leads that will come in, we don't want to throw those guys away. We want to be able to still nurture those guys and put them in some sort of a system. What we use is a data-driven, state-of-the-art CRM platform that has a predictability or propensity model built into it that gives us the ability to know when a customer gets warm or what's going on in that customer's life cycle. It's kind of creepy because, I mean, there's literally 5,000 data points that are being that are being cross-referenced to understand that, hey, this particular borrower may have something going on in their life that's going to make them a high candidate for a refinance or a high candidate for a purchase, and it will literally tell you that that's what's happening with them, so that we're now making phone calls to our borrowers with intent and with data, not just making cold calls. Okay, and that leads me to my next slide, which is curated marketing content and follow-up campaigns. A lot of CRMs will just send out information to a borrower, happy birthday stuff, holiday stuff, but we want to be content driven and we want to be intent driven. And so through our CRM, you're actually sending emails. Of course, you're sending the Thanksgiving ones as well, but you're also sending emails to the borrower that can relate to them, and they're able to understand, where you're coming from. And as they open those emails and or text messages, you're now getting notified so that you know that, hey, you know what, there is some interest over here. Let me make an intentful phone call instead of just a cold call. All right, guys. So that was the first step of attracting and capturing a lead and getting, the top of the sales funnel customers into our ecosystem. The next step of it is going to be to engage and convert these customers through AI and through smart borrower presentations. We, as loan officers, want to differentiate ourselves from our competition. And so the only conversation can't really just be about, hey, what's my interest rate and do I qualify? I think, through engaging and converting these borrowers, we're able to have better conversations with them. So let's jump right in. Okay. What I've got here is a picture of Macy 365. Now, this one doesn't have the voice attached to it, but I will, down the road in this presentation, hopefully able to get you guys a copy of the voice or a recording of the voice so you can see how she sounds. But for the sake of this particular slide, what I want to say is that when a lead comes in, the Macy is able to jump in there, and she's able to capture that customer and engage with that customer at the point of entry so that no lead goes cold. We're catching that customer as a prospect, as when they're warm, and engaging them and then having them live transferred over to you. All right, next what I've got here is our borrower presentation and marketing tools. I always hear people talking about, well, it's got the lowest interest rate. And yes, while competition is important and we always want to give our customers a good rate. The rate can't be the only thing that we're having these conversations about, right? It really is about choices. It's about options. It's about knowing what's best for that customer when it comes to whether it's a one buy down or whether it's a 30-year fix, or maybe it's a potentially it's an arm or a jumbo. What's the right loan type for our customer? And so creating a good presentation like this will help you have a different conversation than just, hey, about interest rate. Now, what's cool about this is that even if you did some chicken scratch on a piece of paper and took a borrower's information down on what they're looking for, through AI, this presentation can be made almost instantaneously. All right, guys. The next one I've got here is another borrower presentation. This may be familiar for many of you guys. I know a lot of the people here are familiar with Barry Habib and MBS Highway. This is a MBS Highway presentation, and what this basically does is that it actually shows the borrower the benefits of owning a home today and the equity appreciation they're going to catch at a period of time, and it's specific to particular zip codes. So you can get as detailed as the 30097 in Atlanta, or something as simple or as vague as just Florida as a whole, so that you're actually able to demonstrate to your borrowers why it makes sense to buy today and not wait until interest rates come down. All right, cool. So we're running through this. So the next part of this is going to be process and close. Up until now, we spoke a lot about AI, and we spoke a lot about what AI can do in terms of lead generation and engaging customers. Now let's see what it can do to help us with creating cleaner files and getting to the underwriting process much faster. All right, so this particular tool is called Friday Harbor. It is an AI underwriting system. Now, I want to preface, a lot of systems that are out there will make you do all the work up front in terms of processing a file, and then the AI is looking at it. This is not the same thing. It's positioned as an assistant to you as an originator. And here's what's really cool about it. As you collect documents, now, if those documents are coming in through direct source validation, or if they're coming in from a borrower upload, the AI is actually looking at that document as it's coming through, and it's giving you a heads up on what it sees. If there's any anomalies, and if you can see on the screen, it shows date of birth mismatch, or the February 2023 statement not updated or not recent, you're finding out before and upfront what's going on with your file, so that you and your processor or your LOA can continue to clean this file up and create a high quality file upfront before an underwriter gets it. Now, does that mean that if the AI sees it and they see something that you don't like maybe a large bank state or large deposit on a statement, does that kill the deal? It doesn't. I mean, the whole purpose behind the AI is really to help you, right? And to help you put together a better file. And so you can, wait another, drop of another statement and season the funds that are in that bank statement, and then submit it to the underwriter, and you're going to be just perfectly fine. And the other cool thing about this particular tool is that it's got a chat bot built into it. So if you had questions like, tell me more about large deposits, and what are Fannie Mae's guidelines on large deposits, it will tell you where exactly to look for the guidelines, and tell you what the summary of those guidelines are. So it becomes a great resource for you in terms of looking up, not only conditions, but even like guidelines of what's expected in underwriting. I know a lot of my loan officers have said, well, I'm pretty good at looking at AUS and knowing what's necessary, but that's part of where the scalability here comes in, because this is a great way to hire and train newer, younger loan officers and not be stuck answering questions all day. Put them in the system and let the system do the work for you. So this next particular, give me 1 second, guys. All right, so it started speaking to me. This particular slide is automated income and employment verification. And here's what's cool about what we're seeing in the marketplace now. In the old days, we would collect documents from the customer. right? We would process those files. We would then give it to an underwriter and look for problems. But in reality, what if we can get the documents directly from the employer, directly from the IRS, or directly from the banks, the bank that they work at, and now it's repped and warranted through Fannie and Freddie. At that point, potentially an underwriter doesn't even have to look at it, and that's where we're kind of starting to see the industry go as a whole, is where direct source validation is taken over. Now, yes, and a borrower has to give us permission to be able to do this, but if your borrower gives us that permission, imagine getting that documentation from the source and not even having an underwriter look at it. How quickly can a file move through the process? All right. And then closings. In terms of closings, up until now, what we've seen is hybrid closings or hybrid electronic closings, where the borrower can DocuSign the majority of their documents and then come in and just do some of the wet signatures. What used to take over an hour of signing, 50, 75 pages has now shrunk down to about 15 to 20 minutes. And to be honest, I would be surprised if by the end of this year it hadn't become a full electronic closing, just because of all the adoption that's happening with the with e-closings right now. All right. And the last segment of this is going to be about retain and refinance. And this is the part where I think like there's a lot of money here, because we potentially could lose so many customers to our servicers. We want to be the ones that are going to be ahead of them and make sure that we can get to our customer before they do. All right. So how do we do that, right? Again, it goes back to data and knowing your consumer and who's in the money. And so some of the tools that we've got now are looking at our customers, looking at their credit card balances, looking at their current MI payment, looking at their current interest rate, and knowing what's happening in the marketplace in terms of the value of their home, in terms of what the interest rates are looking at, and giving you I guess a heads up that this particular customer is in the money, so that we're not waiting for a customer to pull their credit with somebody else before we realize that, oh man, you know what? I've potentially lost that customer. We can get to that customer up front, make the phone call, have that high intent conversation, and turn that into a loan or a refinance for us prior to even somebody else contacting them, or them even thinking about the fact that, oh, maybe it's time for me to refinance. Let's use data. Let's use the quantity of information we have of people and get to them first. All right. I don't know if you guys can actually hear what she's saying there, so I'm gonna skip the slide, but I'll talk about it so you guys can understand what was going on over there. That was Macy. Now I will send you guys after the fact a recording of an email or follow-up email, and in that email we'll make sure that we have a link so that you can actually go and hear the AI having a conversation. What's cool about the AI is that, it's again going back to scalability. When we know that a customer is in the money, or we know that, hey, we've got this base of customers that we don't have time to work, then that's where this AI comes into place. The AI can have a smart conversation with your borrower, but the intent of the AI is to just literally get engagement going and move that customer over to you in the form either of a live transfer or an appointment on your calendar. Um, a lot of people have asked me, hey, we don't even answer the phone anymore as much because of the amount of spam that you get. So that's a great point. And what makes our AI so special is that it's not just strictly conversational. It actually integrates with our CRM system, and it will send out text messages, start conversations, do follow-up emails, do follow-up conversations, and again with one intent, which is to get the customer back into your hands so that you can have a one-on-one conversation with that customer. But again, having that AI as a tool is great because the AI can make 1,000 calls a minute. We can't make phone calls like that. So if the AI can even wake that customer up and get it over to you, imagine the amount of customers you'll be able to service without actually having to pick up the phone and make these calls yourself. All right, this particular slide here is experience.com. Reputation is really important. It's important to us to me as a mortgage company. It's important to all of us as individuals. And so we use a tool called experience.com, which calls our borrowers or emails our borrowers and our realtor partners after closing, and it gets a survey done. But what's more important is that not only does it do an internal survey, it will then push your borrower to actually go to your Google page and do a Google survey. We all know how important Google surveys are because that's how we're starting to drive business to begin with, right? And so the more you can get these surveys and surveys out and build a reputation on Google, the more likely a customer is going to want to do business with you. All right, so what did we just kind of go through here? We talked about capturing more of the right deals that we're looking for. We talked about engaging them efficiently and making sure that those they stay with us. We talked about prioritizing higher intent opportunities through our CRM and through our predictive probability model. And we talked about delivering a better borrower experience through our AI and underwriting. Our goal at the end of the day, close more loans, close them faster, stay in front of our customers, and just rinse and repeat, right? Well, let's make sure that as refi start kicking in, we're getting those customers first. All right, guys. I'm going to start wrapping this thing up. I do want to talk a little bit about First Option today. As I said, we are 23 years in business. We are a growing company. While we've got a nationwide presence, we still have a lot of open territory, and we're growing in each one of our markets, and we're looking for great partners to grow with. As an organization, we've got a great culture. We do a lot of different things to help our partners and our loan officers grow their business. We've done co-hosted events. We do a lot of training opportunities. In fact, I just mentioned 2 weeks ago we were in Fort Lauderdale at Coastal Connect. Last week we were in Tampa meeting with our branches out there and our loan officers and our realtor partners over there. And we do marketing content creation. We want to be able to add value so that you're not out there building your business alone. We've got a great P&L model as well for those that are interested in learning about the entrepreneur side of the business. Okay, and then we also have some fun. I mean, we've got a great Circle of Excellence trip that we do every year. We've gone between Cabo, we've gone to Cancun, we've done to Playa. Punta Cana is on the list for over the next several years. So just a lot of fun, and it's just there to have a good time, celebrate a great year that we had, and just really for you to let your hair down and get to meet other people that are in the industry. All right, and then we do our internal, what we call it's our sales rally, which is our Game Changer Summit. This year is going to be at Chateau Alon, so it's going to be a fun one. But we bring a lot of good speakers in. We bring a lot of good value. Again, it's just about learning and really making ourselves better. So I want to leave you guys with a call to action this time. If you're interested in learning more about our tech stack, then again, we're open book. Our goal is to really educate the community and really help the community grow. Just learn about what you can do better in terms of like maybe adopting some of this technology or how this technology works together. Like I said, just schedule a call with me. Let's talk through it. I've been doing this for a long time, and if I can help somebody get a little bit better, that's a great feeling for me. If you're interested in learning more about what First Option has, again, let's do the same thing. If there's no obligation, let's just to get to know you, and let's see if there's a good fit for us to be able to work together. All right. Well, guys, that's what I've got. I don't think that there was any questions in the chat. So I will send you guys a follow-up after this, and hopefully I'll be able to talk to more of you guys soon and talk about how we can all do business together and do better business together. Take care, guys. Thank you so much.